Okay, so today's opener, we start with the first problem that is a review of last week's lesson. The next three problems are going to be what we learned and focused on this week. So let's take a look at the first one here. So we have the square root of 27 plus 2 square root of 24 minus the square root of 12. When we're adding and subtracting square roots, we first have to put each square root in simplest form. We do that by first factoring each radicand. Quenisha, what are my factors for 27?
3 and 9. And then for 9, 3 and 3.
Okay, then for 24?
4 and 6. For 4, 2 and 2. For 6, 2 and 3. For 12, 2 and 6. 2 and 3.
Good. So now we're going to drop down, and now because it's adding and subtracting square roots, we're going to make sure that we keep each of the prime numbers under its separate square root sign. So for the square root of 27, Joey, what are my prime numbers that I'm going to write under the square root sign?
3 times 3 times 3.
Then what do I have to bring down?
Your plus
Followed by?
your 2.
Very good. Keep going. Square root.
Yeah. And then 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Minus square root sign. And then 2 times 2 times 3.
Okay. And then from here, what do I need to do?
Circle your hand.
Circle my pairs. These pairs then become a single number in my coefficient. So when I go to rewrite the square root of 27 in simplest form, what is it going to be, Eleanor?
30 square root 30
Okay, keep going.
plus 4 square root 6
Nice.
minus 6
Do that again.
square root
Hold on. Minus what?
6
Look at the last one. The square root of 12. I have 2 times 2 times 3. I circled my factor pairs of 2.
2 and 3
So it's going to be what? That factor pair becomes a single number in my coefficient. So what's that number that's going to be out there by itself?
2
Square root.
and then
What do I have left under the square root sign?
6
What do I have left under there by itself?
30
3. There we go. Okay. Now I'm able to go ahead and simplify. When I go to simplify, I have to combine like terms. I want to write my answer in order from least to greatest. So I'm going to find my radicand that's smallest. So what's my radicand that's smallest? 3. So I'm then going to combine my coefficients. So I have 3 square root of 3 minus 2 square root of 3, which will equal 1. Square root what? 3. Sorry, I didn't hear him. And then, do I have another radicand for the 4 square root of 6? No. So what do I do with that number?
Put it down there.
Okay, I put it down,
You put plus sign.
put a plus sign in front of it. Now, if I would say to you guys, I want this answer in simplest form, how could I write this answer in simplest form? What could I get rid of that I don't necessarily have to have there?
the 1
Yeah. But if you chose to leave it there, that's acceptable as well. And there's final answer.
box.
Any questions? All right, y'all have it?
Yes.
All right, let's move to the next one. So Monday we talked about multiplying square roots. When we multiply square roots, we have 3 steps that we follow. Step 1 is to multiply our coefficient. So when I multiply my coefficients, what do I end up with?
15
15. Step 2, I need to factor my radicands. So when I go to factor my radicands, my first radicand is 5. Can I factor that 5? No, it's a prime number. I'm going to circle it because I'm still going to need to use it. And then I go to factor my 10. What are 2 numbers I can use to multiply together to get 10? Now, the second part of step 2, I need to come down, write 1 square root sign for all of my prime numbers. When you multiply, you put all your prime numbers under 1 square root. Only when you multiply do you use 1 square root for all the prime numbers. So when I go to rewrite this, I'm going to rewrite it still in the same order of least to greatest. So it's going to be,
2 times 5 times 4.
and then your final step is to simplify. So when we go to simplify, we're going to circle our factor pairs. That's going to be a single number and the coefficient. So it's actually going to join what other numbers in our coefficient?
2, so it'd be 15 times 5, and then square root 2.
Okay, and then if we simplify the 15 times 5, we get
75 square root 2.
perfect.
Wow.
Any questions on that one? Now, when you go to take your quiz over this on Friday, what I underlined it there, the pink, you don't have to show me that step, okay? If you want to multiply it, like let's say that you know the 15 times 5, and you're just going to go ahead and use the calculator, you can just go straight to this step. I like to show my extra work, so I usually do the squiggly underlined step. Okay. So now we have another multiplication problem. This time it's shown, instead of by using parentheses to show multiplication, it's using the dot to show multiplication. So step 1, Trevon, what do I do? Because you multiplied your coefficients and ended up with the 3. Step 2, Eleanor?
Break the 16.
So I just bring it down like this?
No.
No, what do I have to do to that 60?
Break it down.
Oh, break it down. Factor it, yes.
Factor.
Okay, what 2 numbers can you use?
6 and 10.
Okay.
And then 2 and 3. And then 2 and 5.
Okay, and then for 30?
3 and 10. And then 2 and 5.
Now what do I do with all these factors? Ashley,
You break them down.
be more specific.
You put square root.
Good, I put one big square root sign.
So it would be 2 times 2 times 2. We put it over right here. And then times 3 times 3 times 5 times 5.
Okay,
And then you circle your pairs. And then leave the last one cancel out.
okay. So when I go to do my next step, like I said, you don't have to show this. You don't have to write this part out. I do because we have a lot of numbers that's going to join that 3 in the coefficient. So what I'm going to do first is bring down my 3, and then what other numbers is going to join that 3 on the outside?
2, 5.
Now wait,
2 and 5.
2 and 5 is right, but you're missing something.
3.
The 3, so 2, 3, and 5. Good. And then what's left on the inside, the radicand by itself here?
3. 2.
The 2. And then you simplify. So 3 times 2 is
6.
6 times 3,
18.
18 times 5.
90. No. 72.
You're right.
Oh, it's 90?
Square root,
2.
and that's your final answer. Okay. Let's look at the last, yes.
I did it a different way.
Did you end up with the same answer?
Yeah.
Okay, don't turn your opener in. Show me in just a minute. Give it to Miss Rosie for now. Or
No, I was back.
Okay.
I went down there for something, and then I went right back.
And let's take a look at the last one here. So the last one we're showing multiplication. This time we're showing that you're multiplying using parentheses. So we're going to follow the same 3 steps. The first step is what, Elizabeth? Which is? Multiply what? Which is? Yeah, 6. All right, second step, Trevon. All right, which is? Okay, what about for 9?
3 and 3.
And for 56?
7 and 8.
And for 8?
2 and 4.
And then for 4?
2 and 2.
Now what do I do? Anybody?
You bring, you square root, and then you bring them all down.
So it'd be 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 7 times 7. Do you circle your pairs?
Okay.
So what's gonna go down with that 6?
So what is going to go down there with that 6?
2 and then 3 and 7.
Square root.
2.
Okay, when I simplify it, what's 6 times 2? 12 times 3
36.
times 7?
252. Wow.
Right? Square root.
2.
And that's your final answer. Did anybody get that on their own before we went through it together?
No.
Did you? A lot of kids earlier in the day, that when they got the 252, they thought their answer was wrong.
I
But.
also did it different way around.
All right, any questions?
No, man.
All right.